Joe Rogan is out. He is leaving Los Angeles, moving to Texas because Los Angeles sucks and we all know it. Okay, I'm kidding. But Los Angeles is overcrowded. It's got a ton of problems, especially with the rise of COVID. And people are starting to leave big cities. It's not just Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is more like a canary in a coal mine. You see, Joe has the means, the capability, but actually a disincentive. What's really fascinating about this story is that a lot of people are leaving New York, LA, and big cities for obvious reasons. The rise in violence, the overcrowding, homelessness, like he mentions. COVID has really scared people and they got out of big cities due to proximity to other people. Density was a problem. Joe Rogan has the ability to basically snap his fingers and relocate. Now, I know he's got a company, he's got a studio, he's got to move. I wonder if his new studio will look different or he'll keep it the same. But he's also got some disincentives. He's a comedian. He's in LA. This is the place to be, right? Well, even with that, he's out. And we're seeing something truly interesting, I suppose. This is a story from a couple weeks ago. Shark Tank investor Herjavec. We're about to see the biggest exodus from cities in 50 years. Guess what? I want to read this story about Joe and why he's moving. I'm leaving too. Right now, I'm in the Philadelphia metro. I'm very, very close. City, it's like a 15, 20-minute drive. I'm just in the suburbs. So I'm in South Jersey, but I'm just on the other side of the river. Very easy to go to the city. I don't want to be here. First of all, New Jersey's trash. I don't want to be in Jersey. And I don't want to be this close to a city for all the obvious reasons. Population density. You've got COVID, riots, all that stuff. I'm not going to stick around moving into November. No, thank you. I don't think November is when everything's going to break down. But I feel like things are going to break down. So it's not just Joe. It's not just me. It's potentially the biggest exodus from cities, like that Shark Tank investor said. Think about what that means for you, your investments, your homes, your property, your assets, your retirement. Think about what that means. Let's read the story from The Blaze. They say, Joe Rogan, host of one of the most popular podcasts on the planet. I'm going to go ahead and say it's the most popular podcast on the planet. Said that he decided to move from Los Angeles, California to Texas because he wanted a little bit more freedom. And there it is. I agree. I also want more freedom. I don't like this place. I'm going to go somewhere way more free. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rogan explained further the decision behind his move during his podcast with guest Joe DeSena, the CEO and founder of Spartan and Death Race. I'm out of here, said Rogan. I'm going to go to Texas. I just want to go somewhere in the center of the country, somewhere it's easier to travel to both places, and somewhere where you have a little bit more freedom. Also, I think that where we live right here in Los Angeles is overcrowded. And I think most of the time that's not a problem, but I think it's exposing the fact that it's a real issue when you look at this number of people that are catching COVID because of this overpopulation issue. When you look at the traffic, when you look at the economic despair, when you look at the homelessness problem that's accelerated radically over the last 6 years, 7, 10 years, I think there's too many people here. I think it's not tenable. So he says, I don't think that's manageable. I don't. I'm just going to, you get the point. Joe's leaving. He said it in his own show. Maybe you heard it, but here's the bigger issue. And here's why I lead with Joe Rogan. I lead because you'd think that with, he does the stand-up stuff, but because of COVID, he can't anymore. And that's the big picture. Joe has every reason to stay in Los Angeles. You got tons of celebrities. That's good. That's easy sourcing of guests for his show. Joe can do comedy in LA, easy sourcing for venues, but he can't now. It's hard to do sit-down guest podcasts. I know we do one here, and we haven't had a guest in months because of COVID. You can't do stand-up for the most part in a state like California because of COVID. So they have removed all of the reasons why anyone would stay in these places, and with it, someone as wealthy and determined and powerful as Joe will be leaving and taking that tax base with him. CNBC reports Shark Tank investor Robert Herjavec said Thursday he believes the coronavirus pandemic has shifted attitudes about city living, altering the dynamics of the real estate market for years ahead. This is one of the greatest moves to the suburbs from urban areas since the 50s or 60s, he said. I recently moved out of LA into a suburban area, and I can tell you on a very personal level, my area is on fire in the suburbs. Wow. Quote, everybody wants to leave large urban communities and move out into the suburbs, said Herjavec. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. who also own stakes in many small and medium-sized businesses. And I think urban real estate is going to hurt for a little bit. I believe as well, yeah. On Wednesday, new data showed New York City apartment vacancy in June hit a record high of 3.67%, more than 10,000 apartments listed on the market that month, an 85% increase with June of last year, according to a report from Miller Samuel and Douglas Elliman. The report largely attributed the spike to brokers being unable to show apartments due to business restrictions. Yikes, man. You may have seen me, I talked about this in New York City, that in the past 30 days, there have been about, I think it's 7,000 listings. In the past 90 days, there were 12,000, which means, do the math, the past 30 days have seen a major spike in listings. The same is true right now for Los Angeles. In the last 30 days, in LA proper, it's like the county, I suppose, there's 2,367 listings. In the past 90 days, there's 4,389. What that means is the last month has double what the previous months had in terms of listings. Now, obviously, some listings go away. That's the important factor. Some people buy things within this time frame, so it's not perfect math. I've tried to make that clear. I don't think I did a good job of it. But we are seeing more listings, and that's a point brought up specifically. There's more listings, and it's for a variety of reasons. Not just because people are leaving, also because many people can't actually go and see properties, so they end up stagnating. But that doesn't necessarily explain why the spike is occurring. So let's try and break the math down. Some people said, Tim, you're missing the point. The listings from 90 days ago, many of those actually get bought up. I say, no, you're missing the point. They can't show the properties. Get it? They can't show the properties. Nobody can rent them. The riots break out in June and listings spike. That's the point. I know the math's not perfect, but you get the point. Cities are in free fall. People are leaving. Nobody wants to live here for a variety of reasons. And you're seeing it now with Joe Rogan, and you're seeing it with me personally. When COVID broke out, the governor of New Jersey did such a horrifying job. I'm not talking about like, wow, what a bad politician. I'm talking about killing elderly people in nursing homes level bad job. And that's scary. I'm talking about sending in police to a local gym because they were doing social distancing workouts and that was too much for them to bear. Meanwhile, the Dollar General, literally attached to the same building, had normal traffic. Why? It made no sense. The whole thing was ridiculous. So I'm done with this, okay? I don't want to be in an urban area. I don't want to be in New Jersey, and I'm going to get out same as most of these other people. Realogy Holdings CEO Ryan Schneider told CNBC on Thursday that the company is also observing the coronavirus's impact on where people are looking to live. The suburbanization trend has been the strongest in the New York City area, he said, but it's not limited to it. The real estate company, which owns such brands as Coldwell Banker and Century 21, also is seeing the trend in California and other areas. In every urban geography, the web traffic of people and what they're searching for has changed versus 6 to 12 months ago to be much more suburban. Even in the urban geographies where the rotation has not happened in the actual housing purchase and sales yet, the consumer searching is going in that direction, and we continue to see that through the whole COVID crisis in the last 3 months. The coronavirus pandemic has brought about questions for the real estate industry, both in the commercial and residential sectors. On the commercial side, uncertainty persists about the long-term shift to remote work, which many companies adopted in March in a bid to slow the spread of COVID-19 and how it will impact demand for office space. You know what? I'll wrap it up with a relative non sequitur. War with China. And immediately everybody went, wait, what, Tim, what? We're talking about cities and economy. No, hold on. I want to go there. A lot of people are fleeing cities. We are decentralizing our economy in many ways. We're moving out, and this is going to help urbanize certain areas in the burbs and also suburbanize certain rural areas. Not all good, not all bad. Some of it is good. We are facing a potential war with China, a dramatic escalation. The exodus from cities into more rural and suburban areas can help make sure that if we do get attacked, we will be decentralized a bit more. If everybody lives in New York and LA, then in a war, they just target those cities, and then we're in serious trouble. So for all of the bad that's come with COVID and all of the bad that's come with the riots, It's going to help us tactically, I suppose, if we do end up seeing a hot war with China. Though I do think it's more likely going to be cyber warfare. I think it's going to be information war. We'll see how things play out. But there is a net benefit to everything we've seen. I think the Second Amendment is now stronger than ever. I went out and bought a bunch of guns for the first time. A lot of other people bought a bunch of guns, and a lot of people moved out of big cities. So we're seeing it for a lot of reasons. I don't know what we can expect going forward, but I'll tell you this. I do not want to be where I am by November. That's just me. I don't know if you guys want to stick around in your cities if you live in a city, but I'm going to choose to not be in the city when the election time comes around. Maybe I'm paranoid, but I'll tell you this. Remember when I said a year ago on the Rogan podcast, things are going to get spicy, it's going to get crazy, and I'm building a van to GTFO? Well, the spiciness is here. 2 months of rioting, all right? Don't take my word for it. Maybe it all calms down. I don't know. But I'm going to take care of myself. I hope you do the same. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.